All right. Happy, what, Wednesday today. So hump day. And welcome to the first episode of the Living a Purposeful Lifestyle. I'm your host, Jason Ricks, and I'm hosting here from Omaha, Nebraska. And today I've got with me Brad Norwood from Arkansas. And he and I met on LinkedIn, about a year and a half ago now, right, Brad?
I think so.
Yeah. So Brad is we first met talking about some incentive travel stuff and found a mutual love of the Masters and Augusta. And it's just really grown into a great friendship. And, he's been working on a kind of a new project over the last year called the Bucket Lift Lifestyle. So we're going to get into that. Thought we might just give it 30 seconds here, Brad, and we'll see if anybody hops on and kind of give a few people maybe a chance to join us before we deep into anything.
We got to get people on. So we're doing this on the computer, and Jason, we'll get into this. This is bucket list stuff for me too. We're doing this I'm on my computer, but I'm fixing to log in on my phone and share this so that people know we're on. How about that? Let's do that.
That sounds great.
We're live right now. Awesome. Well, it went through as weird, but they'll get it.
All right. Well, why don't we go ahead and we'll start talking about Brad, some of the early stuff. Why don't you let's talk first about, I'd love to hear a little bit about, your story on how you got into incentive travel, which was kind of your first where you first got into entrepreneurship and doing your thing, and kind of talk to me about why you did that. So kind of like turn it over to you, let you talk about that a little bit.
Yeah. So you want the long version?
We got 45 minutes. So
we got 45 minutes. I won't go too long. So I started, it was actually, you know what? I love Facebook too, even though LinkedIn's my favorite platform by far. It was on my Facebook memories today. Isn't that crazy? 7 years ago today, I became an entrepreneur. How fitting is that? Didn't even realize that until you just mentioned it. I saw it on my Facebook memory. So 7 years ago, 2014, I began a company called Executive Golf Packages. I'm an avid golfer, love to golf. And what we did was we booked buddy trips per se. Your group of 16, 24 guys that are going on golf trips, and whether they're going to Vegas or Pebble Beach or even traveling to Arkansas, as it ended up. I was the provider for the Natural State Golf Trail for 4 years, and then worked our way into Missouri. And so did all these golf trips, and that was all it was. And I humbly say I did an awesome job of branding myself as the golf guy. But then I also did a terrible job of doing that because I did so well. In 2017, back up just a second, sorry, 2015, as you maybe can see behind me, I made my first trip to Augusta National. And I took 50 people there in one day. We went there and back out of Northwest Arkansas. And, of course, nobody believed that I could do it. And it was through connections and just a long story of how I did it. And I became the Masters guy. And so we did that for 2 more years. And in 2017 is when it hit me. The people that are coming on this trip aren't your buddies that are going on the 16, 24 golf trips. The people that are coming on this trip are executives, senior VPs, people that are sales team, people that have hit and achieved rewards and are receiving recognition from their company and saying, congratulations, you won a trip to the Masters. That was who was filling my trip. And so the light came on for me just a couple of weeks after, in April 2017. And I thought, you know what? These people that just took this trip loved being recognized and appreciated, and I need to do more of that. And so, and quite frankly, it's a much bigger ticket than just your buddy's golf trip, right?
That's right.
And so it was like, okay, how do I do this? Well, selfishly, I took my bucket list, what I thought was my bucket list at the time. I took my bucket list of sporting events, the Kentucky Derby, the Super Bowl, the Masters still, the college football playoff, Daytona 500, you name it. And I built a business around that. How can I get people to these events for being recognized, rewarded, and engaged in these once-in-a-lifetime bucket list type events? And so we rebranded into Dream It Professional Events, and incentive travel became our deal. It was our language.
Yeah, and the thing is that I was always really intrigued was, when you and I initially talked, one of the things you talked to me about was the difference between handing someone, say, $2,500, $3,000 in a bonus type of situation, or sending them on a trip, and how the difference the employee feels for the two is like completely different. And so I thought maybe you want to talk a little bit about that, because I think it's a big part of what you do, and also ties into the bucket list that we'll get to here in a few minutes.
Yeah, absolutely. You hear the saying all the time, people will never remember what you did, but they'll always remember how you made them feel, right? And so that's the basis of incentive travel. How many times, and it doesn't always have to involve big trips, right? To start, how many times, I know you're great at this, Jason, your smile files that you go around to your stores and do, but it's just showing people appreciation. I'm wearing an Apple iWatch, right? And every hour it tells me to stand up, or if I complete that ring throughout the day, it puts a big circle on there and says, "Congratulations, Brad, you did it." It's the simple things like that that keep people going. And if you pour that into your employees, they keep going for you. And so now we start to talk about big things, right? They tell you they want money. But listen to this, and I say this all the time, and ironically, I was listening to Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill on my drive home this Christmas break. He says the same thing, but I tell people all the time, people will never put their bonus check on social media, ever. When's the last time you saw somebody put a bonus check? Okay, I get it. We don't get checks anymore. So show me your bank account. Show me your bonus. Nobody does it, but they always tell us they want cash, right? Ask them what they did with it. They don't know. They paid the mortgage. They maybe went out to dinner. They maybe bought themselves something. Otherwise, it just went to ordinary cost, day-to-day living. Let me ask you this. How many people post pictures of the trips they were on social media? Everybody, right? And so when you're with a company, Brad, what are you doing in Colorado? They asked Christy, my wife, what are you doing in Colorado? Oh, the company paid for it, or whatever it might be, right? We just kind of bluff that off, yet the company doesn't realize they're getting credit for it. There's this lower level of shame because we earned it. We take that pride, and we didn't spend the money on it. We earned it. And so there's a pride factor, and that appreciation comes through. I go back to Napoleon Hill. I'm listening to that book on my drive home from Colorado this year. I wrote the notes down. I've got them here with me. People work harder for recognition than they will for money alone. And that's the truth. And that's what I sell.
I totally agree with your thoughts there. And, I think that was one of the things that drew me was when you broke that down, and I hadn't really ever thought about it that way. And that's what really really educated me on that process. So,
yeah.
So let's try to pivot a little bit now and talk a little bit about the heart of the matter, and kind of what COVID did to that travel business, and then, kind of what's spawned from that, which was the bucket list. So I'm sure that there's people that are out there listening that would love to hear the story, because it's pretty fascinating, if you ask me.
Well, it is. It's been hard. But as my reading this morning in James 1 says, consider it pure joy when you go through these trials, right? Because the perseverance that you builds your faith. And I tell you what, Friday, March 13th of 2020 will go down in the infamy of Brad Norwood as the worst day of Brad Norwood's life. My 9-year-old daughter broke her arm the night before. I awoke that morning to over 20 phone calls. Cancel. Not postpone, not, we're going to wait and see. Done. Refund us our money. We're done. And it was brutal, and of course in that time we're going, well, nobody knew what was next, right? I'm not so sure we still do yet, but nobody knew what was next. The uncertainty was incredible. And I just kind of sat there. I was numb by the end of the day. Is this really happening? Yeah, it is. And so took the time over the weekend and just kind of let it be, and then woke up Monday and went, wait a minute. I don't really have anything to do. I'm self-employed, and really I just lost my job. And so it was like, well, what now? And a good friend of mine, Tim Rowe, who might be watching right now, Tim, if you are, I love you, buddy. He had been encouraging me forever to start a podcast. And podcasting just wasn't my thing. I don't listen to them. Who am I to get on and talk and whatever? But I did it. It's part of what I coach right now, and we'll get to that. I overcame the fear. I faced the challenge, and I just started doing it. And I called a buddy of mine, Hal Henson, and I talked to him and said, look, I just want to record our call. And we're going to do a podcast. Don't worry that it's called a podcast. We're just going to be on Zoom, and we're going to record it. Okay. And so we did. And then I had one last call set for that time frame, for that first quarter of 2020. And it was to, again, a little bit fast forward, my hero, Jesse Cole.
Mr. Yellow Jacket.
Mr. Yellow Tux Jesse. And I had a call scheduled with him already by the end of the week. And I'm doing my due diligence and looking up Savannah Bananas and Jesse Cole and going through all this stuff. And I watched the video on his website, and I immediately picked up the phone and I said, Jesse, I know we're supposed to speak on Thursday, but I need to reschedule this to next week and turn it into a podcast, because the first time I talk to you, I want to be able to record it. And of course, Jesse was like, absolutely, I would love to. We had to adjust the days because of his schedule, but he was agreeing, and he knows that it's all about appreciation and fans first, right? That's his company. And so we recorded it, and the energy, I get it now. And that's part of the bucket list too. I get the energy back when I think about Jesse Cole, and I cannot wait to meet this guy because he's contagious. And it spurred me forward to start the podcast, Bucket List Living with Brad Norwood. Well, what is that? So I coach a lifestyle, a plan that is called the My Bucket List. It's a 12-letter acronym if you write it out. And it's all about intentional living. It's not about the extravagant travel, ironically, that I usually try to sell people as rewards. It's about being in the office with your people, Jason, and smiling and taking pictures with them, right? And telling them you love them and you love what they do for the company, and they're going places because they're pouring their life into their work. And so that whole concept, those 12 letters, we meet heroes like Jesse Cole. He's on my list this year. The Y stands for your proud achievement. What can you do, or what will you do this year, this quarter, this month? What will you do today that will be your proudest achievement? And then probably my favorite letter, and we always save it for last, is the letter L. Even though it starts list, the last section, we save it for last. The letter L stands for leave a legacy. And it's the whole thing that ties what the bucket list life plan is all about, is what legacy do you come from? And then what legacy are you going to leave?
That's right.
Are we living to work, or are we working to live? Right. And so being intentional about your life plan, putting your career plan into your life plan, is so much more successful than living just to work. I got to go to work. No. Look, if we get life right at home, if I get right with myself, if Christy knows that I'm going to love her unconditionally, and our kids are provided for and loved and nurtured unconditionally, then everything else will take care of itself, right? And I bring that to work with me. You hear all the time, if mama's not happy, nobody's happy. How many times do you see somebody at work that's they're down on their job and they're not doing what they're supposed to or whatever, performance is down, and you go, Jason, is everything okay? Or do you just go, hey man, you're not meeting quota. We got to get the sales up. Like, we want leaders to care, appreciate, and ask about their people. And that's the 30,000 foot full circle view of what the life plan does.
Yeah, and I know that as this was presented to you, I believe if I'm not mistaken, wasn't this kind of started by a guy out of Australia, and that where you found this at?
It was, yeah. Trav Bell out of Australia. He's known as the bucket list guy. And yeah, he started it. I was certified and trained by him, and have kind of brought it here to the United States. He did, not just me, but I've taken it upon my own and I've made it part of my shtick. It just fit so well with what I was doing. The language was very similar, but now, especially because we can't travel, I just told a guy today in a meeting. I said, Chad, I'll take your people places they've never been, and we won't ever leave this office. And we've done that. My good friend Ben Brookhart, he might be watching, Power Home Solar. Can I give a shout? Can I keep giving shout outs, Jason? You don't care if
Absolutely,
I do that,
man.
right?
You know me.
No shame.
I'm the shout out guy. That's what we have take off Fridays for, right? Like
That's right.
It's all what it's all about, giving love and encouraging others. And that's one of the reasons I wanted you on the show was because you're so positive, and I'll share shortly. You and I had a really good phone call. It's been about a month ago. It was early December, and everything that's going on with our transition through an acquisition here, and what I'm living through, and I had some really some tough things I'm dealing with, and I very vividly remember that phone call, and that I'd had some epiphanies, and we'll get to that here shortly. But I love the comments, and I love the way that you attack life. It's so inspiring, Brad, and that's why I know you. If you don't mind, and we didn't pre-cook this, so this will be evidence of that. I remember you talked to me. You had recently completed this process and this training with a company, and the guy you told me about a gentleman that came in, and what his one of his bucket list items he accomplished that day because he came there, and I think you know what story I'm talking about, because I remember you were almost in tears telling me about that. So can you share that with everybody? Because that, probably one of the most powerful stories I've ever heard from a training class. So this is great. So you're in for a real treat.
Yeah. So, and this was one of the first groups I'd worked with. I had already seen the difference that it made in my life just because of perspective. But we're in week 2. We're working on the letter Y out of my bucket list. And the letter Y stands for your proudest achievement. And so, and part of my responsibility as a coach, right, and a facilitator, this, is you've got to engage the room. And you're always going to have 2 or 3 that never engage. And you're always going to have the 2 or 3 that are over engagers, right? So you got to balance the room out. And so we're going through the lesson. And I'm just going to call the guy John, okay? I don't want to use his name, and you'll know why. But so he's sitting over kind of in the corner, and he's super quiet, and he's engaged. He's engaged, but he's not participating. So we called about everybody else, and I had this hunch not to let him be silent. And so I called him out. I said, John, come on, man, share with us your proud achievement. What do you got? What's your why today? And he got, you could have heard a pin drop in the room. It was just, I get chills now thinking about it and telling the story. As you said, I get emotional. But we were sitting in their lobby, and he turns around and he points and he says, you see that door? I'm like, yeah, I do. And he says, walking through that door is my proudest achievement today. And it's dead silent. It's like, okay, John, tell us about this. And he says, I came here today because the only people in this world that love me are right here in this room. Everybody I work with, only people that love me. My mom's left me. My dad left me when I was a kid. My mom left me. The only people that love me are right here. And last night I tried to end it all, but I knew I wanted to come to this today. It was like, wow. Yeah, I mean, there wasn't a dry eye in the room, myself included. I mean, it was just powerful. And that was my aha moment in this program that, okay, this, Jason, I can't come to you and your company and say, look, I can tell you what we charge, but I can't tell you what the worth is out of it. Right. I mean, right. And to go to that company now and that owner is one of my great friends and one of my best testimonials. And he tells people all the time, he say, I'll tell you this, I don't know what you're going to get out of it money-wise, but if you love your people, you'll do it. If you don't love your people, don't do it. And so it's that big of an impact.
Yeah. And, the thing is that you kind of said something there that kind of reminds me of something. And, you hear about companies and these larger companies and they don't see the value in investing in people and, oh, it's $1,500 a person. Oh my goodness. Yeah. Like we'd never do that. And, it's funny because, companies a lot of times they don't blink at an eye to pay someone 50, 55, 60,000, especially in the retail sector to run a $1 million business. They'll offer them $10,000, $15,000 bonuses, things like that. But then, yep. Excuse me, but then we won't invest $1,500, $1,800 into a person to give them tools and give them inspiration and give them the things that they need to be successful. And it's really, something I think as a work society that we have got to get better at is that we have to recognize that our people will only be as good as the investment that we make in them. And it's one of the reasons I believe in what you're doing. And I want to be a proponent of what you're doing is because I think that giving people more so than ever at any point in time in our society, a reason to live and to be excited about living is where it's at. There's a million things coming at you from the news media, from various other things of why things are negative or whatever. And there's just so few avenues of positivity out there. So I personally am looking at that as a huge opportunity for you because I think that that's what you're doing. You're shining a light in a very important way. So kudos to you for that.
And I appreciate that. I really do. And if we wanted to be boring about it, it's positive psychology. That's what it's based on. The program is based on positive psychology. But when I come into you and say, hey, I want to come coach your team on some positive psychology, everybody's like, no, I hated that course in college. I'm not doing any psychology. Right. So we've got my bucket list life plan. I mean, come on. Do you have a bucket list? Well, I don't know where I want to go. That's my favorite part. Everybody always thinks that a bucket list is all about travel. Right. And quite frankly, it's only 1/12 of our program. The last T stands for travel. And it's great. It's great to have it as part of the bucket list, but it has no bearing on being intentional, challenging yourself each and every day, and envisioning what that life looks like when you do that. And it's as simple as starting not with your to-do list, but your bucket list each and every day. You know what my goal was today? I had 3 things I got to do. I had to get up this morning. We can talk about this. I know we're going to get to that.
Yes.
I had to get up this morning for an interview. Okay. And that was bucket list living. I had to make sure my kids and wife were off to school. I had 4 things. Sorry. I had to be on this at 2:00, and I've got to coach my daughter's basketball team tonight at 5:30. If I get those things done, and now I've got 3 of the 4 done, right? I've had a successful day. I get to lay my head down on my pillow tonight and say, God, thank you. Please give me another chance tomorrow. And, before I lay down my head tonight, I'll make the plan. What's it got to be? Not a to-do list, but a bucket list, being intentional about it. Why am I doing that? Right? That before we came on, our cleaning lady was here cleaning the house, and I don't want to do laundry today. That's a to-do list, right? I don't want to
Today
do
or
that
tomorrow,
today.
right?
No, I don't want to do that. Sometimes I have to, and I get it, but that becomes an urgency and not a priority. And so, and we teach you that through the class too, is how to suppress those urgencies, make things a priority. You'd be amazed at how less stressed your life becomes when you set priorities first and you start with your bucket list.
Amen. So what we'll do is this live stream, if you're interested in learning more about the bucket list, will be available on YouTube, and I'll put the link out there, and then we'll also get some information on there how to get a hold of Brad Norwood. If your company is looking to transform the workforce, if your company is one of those where you feel like maybe the employees have gotten a little flat, or you just need to build some camaraderie and to re-energize for 2021, you look no further. You're at the right place. So we'll get you the information on how to get a hold of Brad. And I like I said, I just really believe that as we're early on here in 2021, this is a great year to reset, refocus, re-energize, and redirect our teams for greatness.
Yeah.
So moving on to some a couple of other fun stories, I guess. So I'll start with my story from Houston, and then we'll segue into this interview because I want to get to that before we run out of time. But I just wanted to thank you. So I'll share with the audience. So obviously going through an acquisition creates uncertainty for a lot of people. There's what am I going to do? What job am I going to do? And for those of you that follow me on LinkedIn, I've made videos, so you're quite aware of all the different feelings that you have go through. And so, I've been kicking around the idea of doing podcasts and doing videos and really, firing up my LinkedIn presence over the last year and a half. And I just haven't been, I don't know if the word's motivated, but just consistent to it. I decided I wanted to write this book, and I started writing, and it just really started flowing out of me, and it was good. And I was sharing it with some folks, and I kept getting awesome feedback of people wanting more of it. And so I knew I was onto something. I had a call with Brad one day. I said, "Hey, man, can I just ask you?" And so we started talking, and and I kind of told him what my vision was, and he said, "Jay, I'll never forget." He goes, "That's the Lord talking to you. Like you found your purpose. Like now your job is to just follow blindly until how it manifests itself out, and trust that it's going to." And I have to give a young lady, her name's Monica Martin. I don't know if she's joined us or not, but Monica and I connected earlier this week, and she almost said verbatim what you had said to me. And that's the power of God speaking through other people. And I truly believe that we are put in each other's lives for a reason. And I believe that you and I were destined to meet a year and a half ago, and that we've been there for each other through the perils of 2020. I mean, I remember having some hard conversations with you when you were going through your travel thing, and we've always been there for each other. And so I just want the audience to know, like, as much as he's been there for me, I've been there for him, and that it's been a beautiful thing.
Absolutely have.
So with that said, I want to get back to this interview thing, because I want to make sure we got plenty of time, because this is a great story. So Brad is kind of a guerrilla marketer, if you will. He comes up with some of the greatest, like, out of the box stuff, and I think that you may have stole this from a guy, because I kind of thought I saw a similar story to one of the guys that you really like on LinkedIn. So I'll let you kind of talk about how this came to be. But if you haven't heard this story, get some popcorn, because this is good stuff. So,
well, so here's the backstory of that. Another shout out. The guy you mentioned is Dale Dupree and Josh Deshay. Okay. So here's the deal. I got to take my own medicine, Jason, right? If I'm becoming a coach, then the greatest players have coaches as well. And so Dale Dupree is the leader of a company called the Sales Rebellion. And I've signed up to take Dale's coaching with Josh and some other members of the team. And so I get coached too. And the sales rebellion is all about doing things differently. Okay. And quite frankly, it's falls right in line with the bucket list. It's about leaving a legacy. It's about getting rid of the slimy sales tactics, right? Yeah, you've got a cold call, but don't just cold call. I quote cold called you, right? The very first time we met, and I said, look, I know how to get you to the Masters, but I'm not trying to sell you a Masters trip today, brother. I just want to get to know you. I want to get to know your business. We haven't been to the Masters in a year and a half, right? And we've got a relationship, but that's what it's all about. That's what the sales rebellion is all about. That's what bucket list living is all about. And so it's doing things differently. The I in the My Bucket List Life Plan stands for idiotic acts. Doing things crazy just to do it, right? Life's too short to worry about it. Don't just live once, live every day. Don't just live once. Don't tell yourself we only live once. Don't do that. I'll get off that soapbox. So I've been trying to get a hold of this company. I've helped multiple companies in this, and I can't name them yet, but I've helped multiple companies in this sector with the Bucket List Life Plan and with incentive travel be very successful. And it just, that's the joy of my job, is watching other people win and knowing that I helped them. And so I have tried and tried and tried to get into this company. I've linked in with the CEO, and yeah, we're connected, and then nothing back. I've emailed, I've called, no return emails, no return voicemails, nothing. Well, as technology has it these days, I'm doing more research on the company. I'm trying to find who I can get a hold of. Well, because I was looking at the company, Facebook one day throws me an ad that they're hiring in Northwest Arkansas. And I went, oh boy, here's a chance to do something idiotic, something stupid, right? Fun, and something rebellious, a way to create an experience for them. They're never going to forget me. I might not ever get the contract, but I promise you, this cat I met with this morning will never forget me. So here's how it goes. I applied for the job a couple of weeks. It's been almost a month ago now. And I doctored my resume not to get all the keywords that we want picked up to get accepted for the job, but I doctored my resume to say, look, the people that I know call me the best kept secret to bucket list living. I'll help your company increase retention, increase revenue, and increase engagement. I'll do this for your company. I'll coach, train, I'll help you through the whole deal, right? Whole resume doctored up. And I thought, surely they'll notice this and somebody will call me. Might be a recruiter, but I'm going to get a phone call out of this. Jason, they emailed me and said I had an interview. And I'm like, I don't even get to talk to anybody yet. So the interview gets set. It was set for today. And I notice on the calendar, it's only a 5-minute interview. And I'm like, okay, they're on to me. They're only going to give me 5 minutes, but that's all I need. Like, I don't want to go waste this guy's time, right? And I know that I'm not talking to a decision maker. Don't want to waste his time. So I go in the door. The guy's late. He's late. He's running over. And the first thing he says to me is, I'm so sorry I'm running over. I don't know why they're booking my calendar with 5-minute appointments, but I can't do a 5-minute interview. So I'm sorry I'm late. And I looked at him and I said, hard for me not to say his name. I said, don't worry about it, brother. I only need 5 minutes of your time. And he kind of looked sideways at me like, huh? And so we sat down and he goes through his little spiel. So tell me, Brad, tell me about yourself and what you're doing now and why are you interested in our company? And I said, well, you've seen my resume, right? He's, no, man, I haven't, quite frankly. They're just sending me these interviews. And I was like, oh, well, can I tell you something? I'm not here to apply for this job. And I pulled out all my material. And I said, I'm here to get 5 minutes of your time because I need you to help me reach Mr. CEO. And he's like, oh, my gosh, he's hard to get a hold of. I said, I know he's hard to get a hold of, and that's why I'm here. I need you to help me, and you're going to be the hero, and I'm going to help you in return, and here's how I can help you. This is what was on my resume. Here's how I'll help you. And I showed him all my material, and he's like, you mean you do big trips? And he reaches behind his desk, and he pulls out a poster, and it's the destination where they're going for 2020. So they already do a trip. Okay. I said, yes, exactly. That's exactly what I do. I said, and we also coach your team. I said, by the way, did you qualify for that trip? He's like, no, because I've got this new team here and we're blah, 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 blah. Right. You didn't make it, right? You didn't make it. Just say it. So I said, look, I'll help you. You'll be on that trip next year. Whether I'm organizing the trip or not, you'll be on it because I can coach your team in a way that it will show them you appreciate them. They'll start loving themselves. They're going to work every day with your logo on their chest and be proud of it because you poured into them. He's like, oh, man. I mean, I felt sorry for the kid. I was blowing him away. You know, I mean, what do you do? And I said, listen, here's what I need from you. I said, we've got 1 minute left. I've got to go. I've only got 5 minutes. That's all I booked with you. I said, if you can get me the phone number, and that was the point of my sell today, right? I was going in there to get the contact information and the email of somebody that will return my call. And he said, yeah, here's the guy that I know has something to do with that trip. I said, great. Who's doing the training within the organization here locally? He goes, well, I do. I said, wait a minute, you're doing interviews. How are you training? Oh, man, I said, you're doing it all? Man, I can help you. I said, I better get your phone number too, and then I got to go. He gave me his phone number. I went in and got 2 phone numbers, a good email. Hey, we'll see where it goes. But it was bucket list, right? I mean, and I even asked him, I said, who can you say has ever applied for a job not to get the job to come in and do a sales call? He's like, never, man, never.
2 things. So you forgot to tell him about the pizza. Like, I thought that was.
Yeah, I did.
Like, who shows up to an interview with a pizza?
I did. I walked in the door. Hey, I can say this, right? I went to Casey's General Store and I got 2 breakfast pizzas. And I thought, who goes into an interview with pizza? Nobody, you know, and even on a sales call, nobody. Everybody takes donuts or cookies. And I told the 2 girls at the front desk, I said, look, ladies, I brought pizza for y'all today. And of course, there's other interviewees standing here on the side. I said, I'm here for an interview and I said, and I brought y'all some pizza. I said, it's after New Year's. Everybody's on a diet, but pizza's healthy for you, I promise. They'll remember me.
Yeah. I wished I could have seen the guy's face the moment that you said, well, listen, I'm not here to interview for the job. That had like, this is like, I got to tell you, this is like one of the all-time best stories ever. Like, because I'll even be honest, I'm bold, but I don't even know if I could pull that off. So I'm like, a whole different level, man. That's just, but you know, one of the things I want to kind of bring it home because I think it's important for the audience to really understand is that that's who Brad is, and that's the energy he brings to this bucket list lifestyle. When you hire Brad, that's what he brings, and that's what you're going to get. It's an outside of the box thought processing kind of way. It's not he customizes this to meet the company and the people that are there. And I think that that's a very important differentiator than some of the other, if you would call it in the box training. You know, there's no shortage of training out there that you can go purchase for your people. What I will tell you is that there's very few that have the impact on the heart. You get to the heart of the people, mm-hmm. you're going to get the result you're looking for, because no one cares how much you know until they know how much you care.
Yeah.
And just something that I live by and something that I personally really strive to instill in my people. And that's why I love the bucket list lifestyle. So, Brad, why don't you tell we have a question actually. So let's show this up here. Can you see that? So Tony, we really appreciate you tuning in today and participating. Can't say thank you enough for the question here. So I think this is for Brad. So what's your why and what's your biggest achievement? I think this is awesome. I want to hear this too, because I have a pretty good idea, but I want to hear the answer.
Yeah, so I'll give you what I've got in my presentation, and this is interesting, Tony. You kind of open up a can here, but we'll cover it quickly. So there's actually 2 parts of a bucket list that we teach you about in the life plan. And the first part we have to teach you is about your reverse bucket list. See, until I come in and talk with you, and coach your team, you don't realize you've already lived somewhat of a bucket list life. But it's all about what I talked about earlier. It's about flipping your perspective, right, and being intentional. And so what we have to do is, you're asking me what's my why. You're actually asking me what's backwards for me. What has been my proudest achievement, right? And so for me, honestly, it's in my presentation. I officiated high school football for 17 years, and officiating the state championship at the 5A level here in Arkansas in 2016 was my proudest achievement. And here's why. I wish I could – I don't have the picture pulled up. I wish I could share this picture with you. My wife and kids came down at halftime underneath the stands. We're in War Memorial Stadium in Little Rock. They came down and took a picture, and I post that picture up during this presentation. And I'm, of course, in the white hat and the stripes. And my wife and family are there. A proud moment. I get emotional talking about this. A proud moment for me. My pride and joy. I'm doing what I love to do, and I've hit the pinnacle of what I do for fun. What my wife did not know is that proud moment that's surrounding both of us right there. She was going to be named the assistant principal of the year for the state of Arkansas that following Monday. So that was a huge weekend for us. It was the biggest secret I've ever kept from her, including proposing to her. It was harder to keep that from her than it was keeping a ring that I gave her 20 years ago. But yeah, so that's my proudest achievement. On my reverse, my future, what is on my bucket list for my proud achievement, it goes into my bucket list story. And I'll be quick with this. My oldest son was born with a major heart defect. By the grace of God and Arkansas Children's Hospital, he was saved. He's healthy, 12-year-old young man now. And our proudest achievement as a family and mine personally will be, well, I got to tell you this. Somebody paid our hospital bill, over $220,000 after his open heart surgery. One day the bill was paid. And so I can never repay that. We can never do that. And so our proudest achievement will be when we can buy Arkansas Children's Hospital a helicopter. He was flown on a helicopter. He wants to be a pilot. That's our deal. And so that's on our bucket list for proudest achievement. Jason, I'm going to go one more real quick.
No, you're good.
Just to answer, who was it? Was it Tony that asked the question?
Yeah, Tony asked the question.
Just to answer that question again, one more. So that's my life bucket list life plan, right? But I've got one for the year as well. And you can do one for the month. I can teach you how to do these even for the day. Okay. But so for the year, this year, 2021, my proudest achievement this year in 2021, I wrote down will be, I've never done this, but we want to give, and Children's Hospital is part of that. We want to give $50,000 this year to charities and or missions. And so, I mean, this is coming from a guy that barely made $20,000 in 2020 last year, right? Like when I wrote this down, my wife was like, "Are you kidding me? We got to make money first." And I said, "Babe, just believe me, it's going to happen." Absolutely. Somehow we're going to get 50 grand. And long story short, I had lunch with a pastor yesterday talking about some missions. And believe it or not, they need $50,000 to send a family for a year to two on a mission. And you talk about having a purpose right there. So that will be my proud achievement for 2021, is that we can give that 50 grand to Children's Hospital and to a mission. My reverse, though, is that day when I officiated the 5A championship and my wife was being named assistant principal of the year. So that's how it works. It works multiple ways. You can do it by lifetime. And we go backwards so that you get that fulfillment. We don't call it selfish. We call it strategic.
Yeah, so I wanted to kind of answer the question too. I would assume that Tony was asking the question for you, but this is the first live, so I think it's only fitting that I talk about why I'm even doing this live and why I'm doing this positive lifestyle it'll be a podcast eventually. We'll take this and convert that to that. But why am I doing this live about positivity and living a positive lifestyle and living with a purpose? And the reason is I want to share with you my why. So my why is I went through a really bad divorce at some time ago, and found myself at the low of where you get. I mean, I was on a air mattress with some clothes and a TV, and living in a room that I was renting from a guy that he and I had served in the Air Force together, and I had to start over. And luckily, I met my wife, who helped me tremendously to regain faith and confidence in myself. And I just want to tell you that, you know, somewhere along the way, I made a pact with myself that I was going to make a difference. And so I set a goal for myself in my life, and I only have one goal in my life. It's just one goal, our overarching goal, and that is, when I'm dead and gone, and they have my funeral, I want it to be the crowd to be so large. There's not a church to be found that's big enough to have it in, because I would have had that kind of an impact on that many people.
Mm-hmm.
So, this is one of those things that I don't share that with a lot of people, but everything that I do goes into that. That's why I'm writing the book and sharing my journey through an acquisition, why I'm writing a book about all my experiences and leadership concepts, and all the things that I post on LinkedIn are typically from things that have happened to me within the last 24 to 48 hours. It's very organic. And that's my why. My why is I'm trying to genuinely help others, and genuinely help other people see that you can overcome, that you can recover, and that no matter what you do, get up every day and go live a purposeful life. Go out and live to make a difference in other people's lives. And when you do that, it has a way of making a difference in your life, because some of the greatest things that have happened to me in business have nothing to do with pay, money, trips, none of that. It has to do with seeing people who were at a low that I help pick up, dust off, and rebuild their life. That's where you make a difference.
Amen.
So I think it's a good place for us to end the day. This was a great first run for me. I hope that those of you that were able to tune in, I want to give a special shout out to the people who commented today. I see you, Jackie. Thank you so much, brother, for all the love. Jeff, see you, brother. Thank you. Rick Mason. I can't say thank you enough. Tony, man, you gave us a lot of love. So Tony, seriously, thank you for both Brad and I. We can't tell you how appreciative we are. We did this thing. We didn't know how many people would join. We didn't know how many people would be on, but we see you and we love you guys. Joe, appreciate you, brother. Stephen, thank you so much. And I hope that this brought some value, and if nothing else, maybe it uplifted you a little bit. Brad, we're going to have to do this again sometime. I think that there's so many more stories that you and I have to share, and we just have a really good yin and a yang. So thanks for being my first host, and until next time, we will be doing this. I'll be doing this each week at the same time. It'll be Wednesdays. It'll either be a 2:30 start time or a 3 p.m. start time Central Time, typically. And I'll always kind of let y'all know who I'm going to have on, and it'll be interesting to see. I'm hoping that the gods will shine down. I would love to get Jesse Cole on here with me.
Oh, yeah, we got it.
I just think that Jesse would be amazing for in context for Jesse. So thank you again, Brad. Seriously, thank you for always having my back, brother.
Hey, brother, you too, man. Like you mentioned earlier, we've leaned on each other a lot, and I appreciate it. I love you. I can't wait till we meet in person, man.
Neither can I. That's what the audience may not know is Brad and I have not physically had a coffee. We share a love of golf, so I have a feeling this spring we're going to figure out a way to get a round or two.
We're going to tee it up, I promise you.
All right. Well, until next time, this is Jason Ricks. This is Brad Norwood. We'll see you. Thank you so much for tuning in.